Good morning and welcome to Business Africa Live on BTA. But it's good to have all of you, welcome you onto our set. Today we'll take a look at what is happening in Ghana's economy, something to do with the Nigerian economy as well, something from Kenya as well as Zambia. We want to, see what is going on in these economies and what can we do, what can we learn from each other, even as we seek to do some more work with each other. I'm your host, Benjamin Afre. We'll take a short break and we'll come back. I'll introduce my guest for this morning and we'll pick our discussions from there. Stay tuned in.
The tourism industry in Ghana is reported to be the fourth highest foreign exchange earner on our GDP list. We will find out what the impact, the identification, development and promotion of tourist sites in the local vicinities where they are located. We also want to talk to the various chiefs and opinion leaders in these communities to assess whether tourism is making a positive or negative impact on the lives of the local people. This is Tourism TV, fact-finding program that seeks to investigate the existing and potential tourist sites. Join me, Ralph Aite, this and every Friday on this wonderful expedition to find out what tourism is all about in Ghana.
Welcome back. So the yuan is now a direct exchange, currency according to the BOG or sources from the BOG. That potentially means that we're going to have the yuan being traded actively on our market, especially with a lot of import coming from China. It is going to help in any way stabilize the city. Well, to do the discussion with me is Fred Avonyo, one of our regular guests on the panel. And it's good to have you on the set.
Good to have you too.
Thank you for coming. I hope you had a good weekend.
Yeah, not bad. A bit of everything in there.
I'm happy when it rains because it clears the air of all the dust.
Of the dust.
Well, so the BOG is looking to make the yuan a direct exchange currency in the country. Do you think it will be favorable for us? Is that going to help stabilize the city in any way?
Well, I think the idea behind that is the fact that we are doing a lot of trading with China. Of course, as usual, it's in favor of us, and the numbers are in favor of the Chinese.
I think about 5 billion. We did about $5 billion US dollars trade last year. Yes, in favor of the Chinese.
In favor of the Chinese, but then that is significant. So if you are trading that much with China, then of what sense is it to the trader or the business person to change the cedi to dollar and then back to yen? There are currency losses when that happens. So I think that's the idea that informed. And this thing has been going on. I remember in the days of the former governor, now the vice president, that issue came up and they said we're going to drive it forcefully. And so there's not been any public announcement as far as I'm concerned, but if they are getting close to that, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
But again, it goes to we'll be addressing the symptoms again and not solving the problem.
The basic problem.
So far, it's good to address the symptoms. It's good to take the bit of pressure off the dollar. But again, what that would mean is that I'm sure within a very short period, we'll see the cedi again depreciating very quickly against the yuan along those lines.
Because the fundamentals,
those challenges are still there.
changed.
We need to address the productive sector. Of the economy. Let's produce. I mean, look at what is happening in China. They are producing massively. They are flooding virtually every market. And so they are doing very well. So that is what we have to do. It is okay to look at those issues. I mean, for other benefits, at least it addresses the issue of currency losses, so that the cost of the goods when they bring them to Ghana
a little bit cheaper.
So that way, but we shouldn't take our eyes off the main issue, the fundamentals. Let's fix that.
But what will be the side effect of the decision too? Is there any potential side effects of making the yen a tradable currency? Or you think that just because we are doing a lot of trade with them, you don't foresee any potential side effects?
No, there could be. I mean, if tomorrow the yuan becomes the dollar of today,
then
so we'll get back to the same
go
challenge.
back to the same thing.
So that's what I'm saying, that, I mean, the main thing is to address the fundamental issues. And again, I think already, because I know, I think Stanbic Bank, for instance, they already trade. They have that. They have the yuan for those who want to do that. And there's also we already have you can use the China Union Pay. That's the
credit card.
Yes.
On some of
our
our
ATMs. So all those are available. I don't know to what extent they are being patronized. Okay, but I hope that if there's enough yuan in the system, our business people will go for it. And then,
no, but seriously, looking at a trade of $5 billion, that's quite very significant.
It's
From
huge,
about $3 billion in 2011 to $5 billion in 2013 is very, very significant. Well, now gas supply improves from Nigeria. That is picked up from about 50 million to 100 million standard cubic feet per day. That is inching closer to the 120 million that was originally agreed on between us and Nigeria. Is there hope? Is there good news? Should we be celebrating this?
No, unfortunately, I wouldn't celebrate this, because again, we've not had a consistent supply. I don't think there's any guarantee that
this 100 would even be consistently
particularly
supplied.
when we are told that Nigeria itself is mopping up every available resource to generate more electricity.
That's true.
I mean, it's even worse now after rebasing the economy. They're larger, and then in comparison with their power production, it's ridiculous. So they would have to quickly upgrade and then increase their own capacity.
Well.
So for me, I don't consider this as an exciting news. What we need to do is look for alternative sources, very regular. Like I said, the liquefied natural gas option is there. There's also the talk about coal, because there's also there's significant improvement in we don't, but we can import. Because I'm told there's significant improvement in the technology. So again, we have cleaner system of using coal to power.
I see.
And so South Africa has a lot of coal that we can go in for. There's some discussion going around. I think Asogli or so is also contemplating going to coal.
So a mixture of coal, maybe gas for their power.
And that we need that.
That'd be interesting.
Because we need to significantly increase our capacity so that this issue of
it'll be good to talk to the Energy Ministry and find out what really is going on, especially in the midst of the challenges we have. Are we pursuing just gas or diesel, or what are the plans, to encourage more of the use of biofuels and the rest in this country?
I think that's another challenge, that we don't seem to hear a lot of what is
going on in terms
specifics.
of alternative sources.
Because this is more of a crisis situation, so we should be giving some update as to what is going on, how far we're going with these plans, and what are we hoping to achieve. Quite substantial information. I've picked bits and bits of information about some work towards bringing the liquefied natural gas, and that they are trying. It's a PPP thing. They're trying to see if they could bring a floating storage unit where they can bring in the liquefied gas and then regasify it. So all those, but these are things that they should bring out,
so people know what is going on.
Yes, these are the efforts being made, because companies would like to plan. They probably will be thinking of increasing their capacity, and they say, how do you increase our capacity if you don't have regular power supply? If they are aware that these things are happening, then they can also work along, So I think government should be forthcoming with information.
And I think, this, going back to, sorry for my language, but doomsday situation hasn't been helpful. Last year, it was terrible for a lot of industries.
Yeah.
And already first quarter, we're experiencing the same thing. Yeah. So it makes it quite challenging for any business to really project whether they are going to do well this year, because it means you're going to spend a lot of money on generator sets to be able to power up your plants or whatever. And that means you may have to also cut down a lot of costs that you could have probably invested
in the business to expand.
And, I don't know.
It's a major challenge. And even for people who want to come in now, the new people who want to come in, these are factors they consider, and they would like to hold on and see. And again, if there's no information forthcoming, they can plan, and probably they will not come at all. So it's key. It's very essential. It saddens me. There's this barometer report by the AGI.
The business barometer.
Yes, that
report. Yeah.
And from the very beginning when they launched this up to date, the issue of power supply
has been consistently featuring on that.
I mean, it doesn't help us.
Well, maybe it's time for private sector people to, step in as well, looking at investing in the alternative source of power.
Yeah.
I have been looking at, for example, the wastes that we generate, the volumes of waste we generate in this country.
Turn it
into some,
biofuel.
Exactly. Yeah. And there are several sources. We are talking about solar.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, especially the new estates that are coming up, they should be looking at powering those estates with solar or some alternative sources. But for us all to keep relying on gas and, I don't think it's helpful.
The whole concept of decentralizing it also helps. So that in situations where this form of power is very useful or maybe it's cheaper, then they fall into. So within an area that they think solar will be very useful, then they do solar. Areas that they think hydro will be very useful, then we do the hydro. So that we have that total mix. But if we continue to have this...
I don't know. I was talking to a friend about, if you remember those times, those bicycles we had, I think it's still even the same, where power was generated when you were riding the bike. Yeah. And I was telling somebody about this experience in Kenya, where they are using some similar technology to charge mobile phones on the go and all that. Yeah. And I'm saying, look, there are some very basic, simple things we can do. Why aren't we doing them? Yeah. We keep thinking of only the bigger plans when the very basic ones are there.
So if we get to a point where our district assemblies will be empowered, some of these things could be applied at those levels.
Levels.
So that we don't have to centralize everything. We really need to move very fast.
There's a lot of work to be done on the energy sector or the energy front of this country, and I hope we'll be up and doing
and have a long-term
plan, and not just a short-term one.
Yeah,
because it's not helpful. It's not helpful for planning. Well, let's go to Nigeria, where there has been a hike in rice tariffs. So that local production will boost local production. But I wonder if this is going to help the situation, because they also consume quite a lot of rice. Do you think they have the local capacity to be able to meet the demand?
I think so. Unfortunately, I've never been to Nigeria, but for all the people I've interacted with, anytime they went there, they came back saying that the rice they ate is different from what we eat here, that they eat local rice in their restaurants. So it's already happening.
I see.
So, I mean, they can. Interesting. Nigeria is they are taking some steps. Yes, that are very, very exciting to me. I mean, they are even targeting to move up with their cocoa production that they gave up when they got oil.
Oil, yeah.
And so now, if you're not careful, we might see Nigeria coming close to us or even beating us to a third position. So it's good. Unfortunately for them, because of the volume of oil that they have, they're able to call the bluff of this international partners and even some of the trade organizations.
I say the problem has always been that, good as a policy may be, sometimes the local production is unable to meet the demand. And so there's always the need to bring in some more.
I don't think Nigeria has that problem with rice. I don't think so, because they still allow rice in, but they come at very high prices. So if the locals are not encouraged to go for them.
No, because go for the local from what I know, production. For example, current local production satisfies just about 30% of the demand.
Yeah.
That means you are importing as much as 70% from outside. So my point is, good as a policy on paper may be, implementing it has always been a challenge. But to be able to increase the local,
I'm sure once this is done, again, it's going to make the local one look cheaper.
That's true.
And hopefully to encourage more people to go into production. It might even attract foreign investors who go into commercial
production.
Production. And that'll be useful. So I think, in the long term, it will be useful. And I don't know about Nigeria's case, whether their rice is so much a staple as it is in Ghana now. But and sadly, just to know that apparently one of our major source of hope for rice production, Aveme, has been out of production for a while now, I'm told.
Aveme?
Yes.
Really?
I was sad when I heard that.
What could have happened? Because
I'm told it's an issue of money. They need money to revamp and then increase production and all of that.
So I think that we need to take a second look at the raising money on the capital market long time.
Yeah.
I think there is a need to look at that option. I think we should.
Extremely important.
Because we can't keep using money as an excuse when we can easily raise long-term money from the market. I think we should.
We should. We
need to encourage.
We need to encourage that. It's the issue of, because this particular project, I think it was again hastily done. There's a foreign investor. I think there's Ghana Commercial Bank, and then there is government, and so somebody owns X percentage of the business, and yet is unable to cough the equivalent of that in terms of capital, to invest. I think you've not been too helpful.
We need to take a serious look at raising money on the capital market.
It's very, very important. It is key because a lot of people are borrowing short term to address medium to long term. Yes, and it's hurting. Yeah. So we'd have to do that.
Well, let's still stay in Nigeria, where the federal government overspent its budget by as high as 105.47 billion in January alone, with recurrent expenditures costing 71%. When are we going to change? It's amazing. How much you spend?
That is a.
We don't raise enough revenue.
That is the other definition of a listening government, right? When they say it's a listening government, it means when the pressure comes, instead of staying focused and disciplined, you go spending, right? and it's unfortunate
because if 71% of that is going to recurrent expenditure
and not investment, then
and not investment,
that's worrying.
It's about 23%.
I hope they'll quickly catch up, maybe by the middle of the year.
The interesting thing happening in Nigeria is also that it seems revenue targets are not met, and that is why we have some of these situations happening.
This challenge, yes.
I don't know when all of us can address the situation with revenue.
Well, again, in Nigeria's case, I think again from what I read, there's a shortfall in the first quarter. I think in January compared to December. Typically December is a very busy
high spending month.
So usually revenues are higher. But then again, it appears it's still, even January fell short of their own target. So that's where the challenge is. And now that they have rebased their economy, they would have to work extra. Otherwise,
they don't need to.
Even the little increase they will get in revenue compared to the GDP will be small. So I hope.
But I see that is where people say that even though Nigerian economy might look bigger than South Africa, in terms of efficiency, the South African market economy looks more efficient than the Nigerian market.
The rebasing is an issue of statistics. So
that is true. That is true.
But I hope they address their deficit issue, because if they don't, in the long run, the country will suffer.
And there's effect on the economy in itself and investor confidence in the economy as well.
So
you are overspending your budget. Well, let's also look at the Naira. That has rallied to a 6-week high on the back of the dollar sales by the central bank. Do you think it's something they can look forward to?
They because of the oil.
Actually, what is happening is that the Nigerian state oil company
is also
what is selling the dollar. That's an interesting proposition.
We have a lot of dollars. I mean, if we are fortunate to see our volumes also increase such that GNPC will have a lot of money, then we could get to that point. So again, but again, in addition to that, I think in Nigeria, foreigners are allowed even to the short-term end of the market, as in their treasury bills.
Treasury bills.
Yeah, so there was also a very strong bid for it. That brought in a lot of dollars as well into the economy. So it helped boost the
Naira.
The Naira.
I see. And it seems that it looks to be one of the best performers on the African currencies. Well, let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Looking for a venue for your wedding reception? conferences and retreats, outside catering, recreation. Look no further than Coconut Grove Beach Resort Hotel, located in Elmina. Coconut Grove Hotels, memories worth repeating.
Welcome back. So we are still reviewing stories from Ghana, Nigeria, and the rest of the continent. And Fred, our usual guest, is here to assist with that. Now, let's stay still in Nigeria, where a new deputy central governor has taken office. That really tells that this guy is not coming back any day.
No,
he
definitely, because even a substantive governor has been appointed, supposed to take over, I think, in the middle of the
June.
year. Yes.
I think June, yeah.
Yes, and so then there's a new deputy coming in.
Yes, yes.
I hope they're not going to have a completely new team at the helm of affairs.
Well, I think the old ones, the deputy governor corporate services is still around.
It's still around,
yeah.
So
maybe they are beefing up the team. But I just hope that they would keep track with some of the reforms that Governor Sanusi issued.
Yeah, that'd be useful. I'm sure the market will be watching. I mean, Nigeria's market, in terms of efficiency compared to ours, is better. It's better. So their market will react if they are not happy with the changes. So we'll see how it works out. I'm sure the early comments and actions of the new guy also will tell whether they're in good hands or whether they should be worried. So we'll see how.
Well, let's see who they bring to. But sometimes I think that for all of us, there is a need to allow people to work. When you've appointed somebody there and the person is working, if politics doesn't come in, we should allow them to work.
Yeah.
But sometimes, most of the time, it doesn't happen on our market. Well, let's go to Kenya, where the 91-day bills, the yield fell to 8.825 from the previous of 8.847. However, you realize that they received, in terms of the auction, they received less than what was projected. They were looking for 3 billion, but only 1.21 billion shillings was subscribed to.
Yeah,
that's not very positive.
Funny. Yeah, and because typically, if you didn't get people taking all the,
then you would rather
hike there
so that you can get more people coming.
Yeah, but this it dropped. It's funny. I just hope that it's still the market forces at play and not some machinations, because it's not a usual thing though. So I wonder.
Yeah,
what
it's true.
I envy though is that you have the tilbury rate at that level, 8 point something. That's
very low.
We got close to that.
We've been close to that before.
Yes,
we've been close to 8 before.
So,
but
I mean, it's sad.
Ghana went. Now you're doing 24.
It's
almost. I'm sure this week we are 24, and that is extremely high.
Extremely high.
It doesn't encourage a lot of investment for people who want to expand their businesses. Because they have to take it at a much higher rate than the 24.
Yeah, that's not exciting.
But not even half was subscribed to.
Yes. So it doesn't. It really doesn't add up. How come that they didn't get the subscription and yet the rate
they dropped the rates? Well, I guess maybe
I'm sure that's a policy they are pursuing to bring down the rates.
The rates, regardless of whether
because they've been doing this. They've been doing this
consistently,
trying to mop up
excess cash.
Yes, so this has been going on for a while now, and I guess that's what they.
And finally, let's take a look at Uganda, where the capital market is looking to trade in derivatives. I've been following this story, and it seems they are really, really serious about that. They are pushing, to have a market capitalization that is 30% of East Africa's GDP.
Oh, okay.
And so they are looking at new products,
yes,
automating the system and all that. And for me, it seems very good news.
Pretty ambitious.
Because I think apart from Nigerian market and a bit of the Nigerian market and more of the South African market, we don't have a lot of derivatives on our markets.
Yes, that is true.
So for them to want to bring them in, it's quite encouraging.
Yeah, it is.
It's quite encouraging.
That'll be very good. That'll be exciting for their market. Particularly, it's a small market.
It is.
And even compared to Ghana. So, and we also hope that they will put in place the appropriate regulations to ensure that the right things are done, particularly since
the risk
it's new,
side.
the risk side of it, it's a new thing. So we wish them well. I hope Ghana will also move quickly and get into that.
Well, finally, let me take your thoughts on this economic partnership agreement. I don't know if you've had time to go through it, but I've heard the Ghana's Minister for Trade saying that whether we sign or not, there's also some penalty to pay. What's your personal thoughts on the EPA?
That has always been the argument of government from way back.
Since.
Yes, but it's again over the years, the resistance, particularly being led by private society,
okay,
has held this thing in sort of abeyance for a while now. So they set the date.
They push it back.
They push it back. They set a date and they push it back. So I think we should keep making the argument that, look, we don't think we've gotten to that point where there should be that level of parity, close to parity, in terms of open up my market, open up.
But can we ever get there? Because look, I particularly think that even if they give us 100% access to their market, and even 30% here, they will still flood our market because they will bring in cheaper stuff.
We are unable to access their market. In fact, it's not even so much of a case that it is closed and we can't access it. We do have the capacity
to even produce to meet the demand.
And there are other conditions, the the standards.
That is true.
Level of, if it's fruits, level of acidity, even the soil itself on which you are going to plant.
Should meet a certain standard.
Yeah, those are even difficulties. Those are enough barriers, for us to go over. So I still think we should still push this EPA thing a bit further. But you see, the sad thing is, when this EPA discussion started, and the complaint was that we're not on equal footing, we need to build our capacity so that we can match up. So the decision was, okay, give us time to build up. Now, for this period that we're going back and forth,
you haven't done anything.
We haven't done anything. Well, I don't know. Well, as part of this agreement, the EU is supposed to give us money to help us. There's a period of moratorium to give us money to build our capacity, so to speak. But my question is, fine, even without their money, for all this time that we've been talking,
since 2000
and been dragging this issue, even after we initial the agreement, the interim agreement.
Yeah.
What have we done to increase our capacity? If it is our assertion that whether we sign it or not, that's a penalty to it, and that we don't have, I also heard the minister suggesting, for instance, that we don't have an option, we just have to sign it. Now, if that is the case, and if we had all along knew that it will get to a point that we'll have no option, then what? We still have, whether there was a change or not, the trade ministry has been involved in this discussion, and we should have built our capacity. To
be able to meet that challenge if there was a need.
If we're going to open up, we're already suffering from the influx from Asia.
That's true.
If we're going to get an additional
from
influx,
Europe,
unless we are going to come up with a new economic system where we'll be fully import dependent and yet be successful, and I don't know how that is going to work out. But I also think, look, I give our government, I'll allow, because look, in other countries, the citizens are able to force their government to take a certain position. It is civil society. If you think as a government standing against these guys could affect you somehow, allow civil society to do the work. And civil society has been fighting this issue. Allow them. Let us fight on and tell them, well, I'm sorry, I want to, but my citizens say no. So let's go look at this again. And the other thing that saddened me was that apparently we've not done any analysis to see
the impact.
I was sad.
Remember when we had a discussion with Nigeria pushing, they had done some serious work.
But I was surprised to hear that.
You still can't believe.
I wish it's not true. Because at least, again, Third World Network and others have brought out figures that they think. So, and if they had those figures,
the government should be able to, because they have a much bigger machinery to be able to, you know, properly analyze this.
I just hope maybe it's done somewhere, but you know, nobody knows how to find it.
Well, it's interesting. Well, it will be good to have a full discussion on the Economic Partnership Agreement and hopefully be able to dissect the issues and see where opportunities are for businesses in particular. And if there are any suggestions, you know, so we'll do that. I will look to do that.
The claim is that the exporters will suffer, particularly the non-traditional exports. Yeah, but I don't think that is really the case as of now.
We just need to up our game. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll take a look at that one of these days and dissect the issues, pick up the flesh from the bones, and be able to tell whether we are going the right way or not, if we sign or do not sign. But the key thing is that whatever the situation is, even if we are going to sign, then let's identify the opportunities within that and take full advantage of that.
In fact, we should negotiate further and get yes, and get some more benefits if we are going to sign. But I'm still skeptical. I think we might not sign.
Are you sure?
Oh, it's still possible.
But if
you are getting very close to points like that in times past, and then once the noise is
but if you have your trade minister, you know, more like saying that look, you don't have an option, then well, don't be surprised if they sign eventually.
We've said so in the past, and even initial the interim agreement, and yet, so once we get civil society to be very loud, and if they can work across the sub-region, kind of support from Nigeria, and Ivory Coast, I'm sure we can still push this further.
Well, it's been an interesting discussion. It's always a pleasure to have you and to have Fred with us as well doing the discussion. We've just been going through what is happening across some of the countries on the continent, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda as well. We'll bring you some more of these, some more interesting, some more exciting ones. I want to thank you, Fred, once again.
Most welcome.
For doing us the honors and for joining us on our show.
My pleasure.
And it's always good. I have a very strong team. Mark, Ernest, Winifred, they've always been very supportive. And it is their help and assistance and all that this show is coming to you. I'm your host, Benjamin Afre. I'm hoping this day, this week will be a blessed one, a fruitful one for you. Stay tuned in and enjoy the rest of our programs. I'll see you same time tomorrow morning. Have a good day. Kenya as well as Zambia. We want to, you know, see what is going on in these economies and what can we do, what can we learn from each other, even as we seek to do some more work with each other. I'm your host, Benjamin Afre. We'll take a short break and we'll come back. I'll introduce my guest for this morning and we'll pick our discussions from there. Stay tuned in.
The tourism industry in Ghana is reported to be the 4th highest foreign exchange earner on our GDP list. We will find out what the impact, the identification, development and promotion of tourist sites in the local vicinities where they are located. We also want to talk to the various chiefs and opinion leaders in these communities to assess whether tourism is making a positive.
Well, to do the discussion with me is Fred Avonyo, one of our regular guests on the panel, and it's good to have you on the set.
Good to have you too.
Thank you for coming. I hope you had a good weekend.
Yeah, not bad. A bit of everything in there.
I'm happy when it rains because it clears the air of all the dust.
Of the dust.
You know. Well, so the BOG is looking to make the yuan a direct exchange currency in the country. Do you think it will be favorable for us? Is that going to help stabilize the city in any way?
Well, I think the idea behind that is the fact that we are doing a lot of trading with China. Of course, as usual, it's I mean, it's in favor, as in the numbers are in favor of the Chinese.
I think about 5 billion. We did about 5 billion US dollars trade last year.
Yes,
but yes, in favor of the Chinese.
In favor of the Chinese. But then,
Positive or negative impact on the lives of the local people. This is Tourism TV, fact-finding program that seeks to investigate the existing and potential tourist sites. Join me, Ralph Aike, this and every Friday on this wonderful expedition to find out what tourism is all about in Ghana.
Welcome back. So the yuan is now a direct exchange, currency according to the BOG or sources from the BOG. That potentially means that we're going to have the yuan being traded actively on our market, especially with a lot of imports coming from China. It is going to help in any way stabilize the cedi. Good morning and welcome to Business Africa Live on BTA. But it's good to have all of you, welcome you onto our set. Today we'll take a look at what is happening in Ghana's economy, something to do with the Nigerian economy as well. Something
that is significant. So if you are trading that much with China, then of what sense is it to the trader or the business person to change the cedi to dollar and then back to yen? There are currency losses when that happens. So I think that's the idea that informed. And this thing has been going on. I remember in the days of the former governor, now the vice president, that issue came up and they said we're going to drive it forcefully. And so if there's not been any public announcement as far as I'm concerned, but if they are getting close to that, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
But again, it goes to we'll be addressing the symptoms again and not solving the problem.
The basic problem.
So far, it's good to address the symptoms. It's good to take the bit of pressure off the dollar.